Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at Twilight Masquerade. Now, yesterday or a couple of days ago, depending on when this goes up, I showed you my pre-order guide. That's where we really focused on the products that are coming out. The Elite Trainer boxes, booster bundles, things of that nature. That is not what we're going to be focusing on today. Today, we're going to be looking at the set. We're going to be looking at the things we know that are coming from the set, and we're going to be looking at all the things we can get excited about. Now, where we are with this set, we know more than half of what is going to entail in this particular set. Because we know that the set is basically, Twilight Masquerade for us is a mashing together of the two Japanese sets, Crimson Haze, which is Scarlet and Violet 5A, and Mask of Change, which is Scarlet and Violet 6. That gets mashed together into our set, Twilight Masquerade, and there aren't really any other major things I'm expecting. So, for instance, if we have a look at Temporal Forces, we had the Miraidon and Koraidon decks, which admittedly weren't stunning, but they did have some relevant cards in. We know, for instance, that the Battle Academy in Japan, at least in terms of promos, is going to give us a couple of things, but there's nothing in there that's particularly relevant. So I'm not sure how much of that is going to come out in our set. We don't have that information yet. But given that Twilight Masquerade has been revealed for a week or so at this point, we are at the stage where we need to sit down and go, all right then, what do we actually know about this set? Well, Crimson Haze, we now know the full set list. We don't quite know all the secret rares yet, but we know the full set list. And Mask of Change, we actually know a fair bit, especially in terms of the EXs, because they went and showed a bunch of those off. So let's have a look at everything we know. Let's start with the EXs, because we know, well, pretty much not all of them, but a lot of them. So we know there's going to be 7 EXs and 7 Tera Pokemon EXs, which incidentally there's a more Tera than usual. It's because of Ogerpon. We'll get there in a moment. But in terms of EXs, we focus on the non-Tera for the moment. We know all of the ones that came around in Crimson Haze. So we know that we're going to be getting Sinister EX. Not my favourite of them, but it does have an attack for a single colourless energy that lets you put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon for every basic grass in your discard and then shuffle all them back into your deck. So that's not too bad. We also know that we are going to be getting Iron Thorns EX. That is one that has gone and been properly confirmed. And that's the one where it basically turns off abilities. While its active non-future Pokemon with a rule box don't have abilities. It's pretty good in that regard, honestly. Now we know we're getting Screamtail EX, because again, that was in Crimson Haze, so we know that's coming. Best thing about this one, it does have an attack where if you go second on your first turn, it stops your opponent playing supporter cards. Could be pretty good for putting real pressure on in the early game. And then we know we're getting Blood Moon Ursaluna EX, which is, of course, the poster child of Crimson Haze. And the attacks are reduced by 1 for each prize card, 1 cost, for each prize card your opponent has taken. So this can get pretty gnarly pretty quickly. That's 4 out of the 7. Now, in terms of other EXs, we will, I'm afraid, have to wait and see. We don't have any other EXs yet, but that's a decent amount of them. In terms of Tera EXs, we know all 7, we can see 6 of them. Because, of course, we know that we are getting a couple in Crimson Haze, for instance. We know that one of the ones we're getting is Macargo. Yeah, we're getting a Fire Macargo EX. Why? Not entirely sure, we just are. Best thing about it, free energy, both players discard the top card of their deck, and it does 140 base plus 140 for each energy discarded off both players' decks, which is pretty good. We then also know we're getting the Fighting type Tera Greninja, which is a stage 2, admittedly, but I do think there is a gigantic amount of potential here. This is one that I've absolutely got my eye on as one that could be very, very good. Because for a single energy, you search for any card and put it in your hand while doing 170. That's pretty nice. Also, free energy, discard 2, and it does 120 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. But we've got that boomerang energy that goes back to your hand when it's discarded by one of your attacks. So with that on there, you just have to get 1 energy on there every turn, and you are good to go. I like this very much indeed. And then if we go over to Mask of Change, now we know that we are getting a Dragon Tera type Dragon Ball. That has been confirmed, and it's literally on the booster pack artwork. So we know that it's coming. We haven't actually seen it yet. It's a 1 Tera EX that we haven't actually seen. We know it's coming. It's been confirmed, and it's on the booster pack and all of that, but it's not actually been shown off yet. But we know there are 4 different Ogerpon EX. So you've got Teal Mask Ogerpon, and we got the English scans of these, which is lovely. And what's awesome about this is you attach a basic grass from your hand to this Pokemon, and then draw a card. It's nice. But then you've got the item card Ogre's Mask, which lets you swap an Ogerpon in your discard pile for an Ogerpon in play, EX of course. And then we've got a trio of them, all of which have an attack for 1 coloured, 2 colourless energy. So use something like Luminous Energy, for instance, and then with the grass energy you're accelerating with Teal Mask Ogerpon, you're there. Like, you've literally got all the energy you need, and then you're hitting for multiple different weaknesses. You've got lots of different options. It's like the old Evolutions deck, for anyone that remembers that. It's a deck that I know a lot of people are pretty excited about. And, you know, the ones we've got here, we've got Half-Flame Mask Ogerpon EX that does 240 to an evolution or 20 for each damage counter on it, which could be kind of fun. We've got Wellspring Mask, which does 120 and shuffle free energy from it into your deck to do 120 to the bench. Also just generally good in water decks, that one, I'm going to be honest with you. And then we've got Cornerstone that doesn't take damage from attacks of Pokemon that have an ability, which is obviously a very, very good thing. And that's your 7 Tera EXs. You've got your 4 Ogerpon. You've then got Macargo and Greninja from Crimson Haze, a Dragapult we haven't seen so far. Boom. That's it. Those are your 7 Tera EXs. Pretty much completely confirmed. Not quite there with regular EXs, I'm afraid, but I think we did pretty well. We know we're going to be getting 6 A-Specs, that is free from Crimson Haze and free from Mask of Change. And what is interesting is we were told in the press release specifically that the A-Specs, it said 6 A-Spec Rare Trainer and Special Energy cards, so at least one of them from Mask of Change, probably exactly one, is going to be a Special Energy. And this is interesting because by far the worst one we've had so far is Neo Upper Energy. It's not good. But the 3 we got in Crimson Haze, we had Unfair Stamp, which is a very, very good and impactful card. That's the one whereby if one of your Pokemon was knocked out last turn, your opponent shuffles a hand into their deck, you get 5, well, both players do, then you get 5 cards and your opponent gets 2. It is going to stop your opponent taking early KOs if they know you're playing this. We've then got Hyper Aroma that searches free Stage 1 Evolution Pokemon. Not good in every deck, but against Stage 1 decks, absolutely could be. And then Survival Cast that stops you being one-hit KO'd and puts you down to 10 HP remaining instead. Of course, it only stops one-hit KOs. If you've got any damage on you, it will stop working. We've not seen any of the A-Specs from Mask of Change, although like I've said, we are almost guaranteed to have one that is a Special Energy, so we have seen 3 of the 6 there. And it's worth noting there's nothing new in Twilight Masquerade. Obviously, when we had a look at Paradox Rift, that brought in the Paradox Pokemon. When we had a look at Temporal Forces, that brought back A-Specs. Twilight Masquerade isn't actually bringing anything new in per se, but what it is doing is giving us a lot of very cool stuff in. We've got a whole bunch of EXs and A-Specs and all of that that's looking very, very nice indeed. We do know that the Loyal 3 are going to be making their Pokemon TCG debut in here as well. Probably not as EXs. We've seen the 3 of them, and they're fine, they're okay, they're not particularly stunning. Although I do really, really like the Monkey Dory that just, when it's on the bench, if it's got, or in the active, I suppose, but you want it on the bench. If it's got any darkness energy attached to it, you can just move 3 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponents. I quite like that one a lot. It's the monkey-looking one hanging from a tree. But the point is, we're getting all of them, they're coming in. And this is very much a Teal Mask-based set. We've got Carmine and Kieran coming in as supporter cards. We've got Sinistcha coming in as both a regular and an EX. Now, we know that's what we're getting. There's a chance there's another one, but it's probably just going to be that. We know we've got Perrin and Hisui and Growlithe as this phenomenal pair of Special Illustration Rare Perrin and Illustration Rare Growlithe. It is very much full on the Teal Mask. This is the Teal Mask set. We know that Diplin is going to be making its debut with an Okacheke drawn card, which is honestly kind of amazing, and I love it. There is a lot to get excited about with this card, and I've shown you the EXs we know, I've shown you the Specs that we know, I've told you, about the theme of it generally just being a Teal Mask set. There is a lot we don't know. Basically, we've got all of Crimson Haze, except we need to see some secret rares still. And then Mask of Change, we've basically seen the 4 Tera Ogerpon, and a few other cards here and there, but not really a huge amount. It's going to be fun, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be fun. Yes, I know this Friday is a release of Temporal Forces, but you know what? Twilight Masquerade is coming. We've been told about it. We know it's a thing, so why worry about it? Let's just move on and get excited about it while we also celebrate Temporal Forces. We can be excited about multiple things. For now, I want to know what you think about this. I want to know how excited you are. I want to know what you're looking forward to from the set and what your predictions are for the set. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And of course, get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Dojo, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.